All right. Well, I think I'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to another wiki, weekly live stream journaling session. I'm gonna kind of switch back to the little journal. So last week I was kind of taking a break from the little journal and just kind of felt like working in my really big everyday journal. And it's really interesting to kind of see the difference between how I work in the big journal versus the little journal. The little journal really is about that visual narrative and about having consistency and really about how the pages are interacting. And the big book has some of that, but not that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of the big book, the everyday book, my everyday journal really is about documenting my life, my thoughts, my feelings, my whatever, my heart. But it's more of an everything kind of book. Whereas the little book that I'm working in now is has a theme. It's that theme of emergence, and that's kind of been on my mind over the last. I started this little journal back in May. So, here we are, what is it, 6 months later, and still working in it, still kind of exploring that idea. So like I said, I'm going to turn back to working into that. And so let me go ahead and switch it over and I'll go ahead and get working in it. And as always, if you're tuning in and you want to say hi and you want to leave a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from, it's always great to kind of see who is out there. So anyway, I've worked a lot in this and I'm starting to feel like it's getting close. But I really kind of feel like the back parts, the back pages, maybe not so much these are looking pretty resolved. But kind of, getting back into here, really kind of the last few pages, I guess. And so I was flipping through it earlier and I was trying to think about the words. I want to kind of wrap up my thoughts and really I don't think there's much more to add as far as words. There's a phrase here, stepping into the light. And I think I want to play off of that, but I'm not quite sure how yet. So I think, I don't mind that there's not a lot of words. I mean, there's words here. There's no words here, not every page. I mean, there are that line of words, that thread of words that kind of goes through from the tracing paper. But so this is sort of like, it kind of stopped here. So uncovering, discovering, recovering, insight into who I am. And it kind of stopped there. I kind of like the fact that there might be a pause here, then there's more words, and then maybe, somehow picking up. So maybe it's another I am or something, but I don't know yet. So what I'm really thinking about though is sort of how to resolve these more. And that's kind of what I want to focus on, is to kind of bring a level of depth to these last few pages. Very similar to kind of what's up here. And one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is I don't have like these real thick black lines. So that might be something to kind of do. Those lines aren't everywhere, but it's like some of the thick lines show up here and there. So actually that might be something that I end up doing more throughout. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. So anyway, so that might be something to kind of focus on here as I kind of move in. That might help. So I'm thinking like here I have the thick line, so it might make sense to have a thick line, and kind of build off of. So I don't know. We'll go ahead and see what comes about. So I'm thinking just like around this rectangle here. So this thick line will help to kind of bring a little bit of balance, since I have the thick line here. And then over here, we'll kind of help balance it out. But yeah, it's kind of just sort of flipping back and really kind of seeing what have I done, and then what can I kind of bring forward. I'm thinking I want to have a line that goes across. Now there's one thing, I used colored pencil on this, so it's a little waxy. So we'll see how that works. This pen works on top of that colored pencil. And so I think what I want is have that wrap around, since that rectangle goes all the way around. I think one thing eventually, I don't know if I'll get to it today, but I can see on this page, especially like adding some of the colored pencil just to help really kind of uh, straighten up some of the edges that are here. Just to bring a little bit of polish, some embellishments to this page. Just trying to figure out, I want to have more of this black line. I thinking, if I go around the circles, that might be interesting, but I don't know how well you'd see it because there's a dark purple there. But then actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and try it. Because even if it's not super visible, I had a thought about connecting the circles. So yeah, with that purple, I guess it shows up. I mean, it shows up a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see um, from my angle. It's the ink is getting a lot of glare from the light, but looking at it on the computer, seeing what the camera sees, And I think it does show up a little bit better. So this is allowing me to fill in. So when I trimmed the circles out, there's little slivers of white just where I didn't quite get all the circle, didn't go all the way up to that purple color. And so this is allowing me to kind of get into that and cover that up. What I was thinking is of putting a vertical line and then having it connect. So it kind of echoes that on the other side. All right, I had a thought. So I was thinking about like, oh, I could come back with colored pencil, but I'm thinking, well, I got this dark blue pen. So I think like just kind of doing some hatching. Just really try to straighten up the edges of the letters, but then also creating some contrast with the dark blue value. Originally, I'd done some of the Inktense pencil around it, but was a little bit sloppy with how I painted over it. So the pen allows me to go back and just make those edges sharper and neater. It's going to make it stand out a little bit more as well. One of the things with kind of this stage of a page is that sometimes it's like what you add is it's kind of slow and steady. So I always think of the embellishment as just sort of going back and strengthening what's there, maybe bringing in some contrast, bringing in patterns and textures. I think this is where like a lot of the depth of the page really comes in. Mhm. Let me see. I want to do that with these blue squares, but let's try it with the blue pen first, the light blue pen. Thinking this blue might be interesting around the letters as well. Kind of tie into that dark blue. Excuse me. All right, that one, this little spread's starting to get some depth to it. Let's see. I'm just digging through some of my stencils over here and kind of maybe just thinking about putting in some random letters or numbers, maybe some letters. Might be interesting to bring some of the thick lines onto some of these pages too. Yeah, I like how that kind of just creates a little frame, really accentuates that kind of window effect. That's one of the things I like about using that water soluble pencil around the shape. Kind of creates a window, but then popping that black in there really makes that pop out. I can almost see something else happening there. Actually, I think something else needs to happen there. Let me grab. Just thinking. Let me see this one. I thought I had a even brighter yellow, but I think this is the one I was thinking of. I could use a lot of different materials. I could have used watercolor in there or paint or some other kind of marker. It does pick up some of that water soluble pencil, that Inktense pencil that's on the page, kind of smears it. So you have to be kind of okay. I mean, I don't know if you can see on the tip. The tip's kind of dark. Just that yellow brings a little bit of color contrast to the spread. And I think I want to continue that black frame. I want to do it around this image over here. Keep flipping back because I feel like I want to connect a thick line from here back to here, maybe. So I'm thinking here to do that frame again. I think eventually I want to bring some of the black lines in here, but maybe not quite yet. Grab this green pen. It's a little bit different than the ink that I've already used. I've used kind of a bluish green to do little circles. What color is this? May green. So it's a little bit more of a yellowish green. The lines are pretty subtle. All right, I'm thinking that is a good stopping point. So it looks like I just kind of focus on using the ink today, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes it's just, you get out a few materials, but then you're like just drawn to kind of using one. So yeah, these pages are slowly taking form. So anyway, we'll have to figure out the words for the last few pages, but I still have time to do that. Go ahead and switch this back over. All right, so that kind of wraps up another week. Just kind of working in the little book, just basically with ink today, just trying to embellish, bring some depth, some polish to some of these back pages, and just going back and looking at what kind of came before, and trying to think about how to bring some of those things forward in the book, bring some of that stuff, kind of to wrap it up. But anyway, yeah, so I appreciate you being here and tuning in. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to pop them in the comments, and I'll try to take a look at them a little bit later. So anyway, appreciate you being here, and as always, happy creating.